Hi there, you're watching the Yoga Bro. I'm Corey, and thank you for practicing with me today. I'm here in beautiful Telluride, Colorado, and I'm excited and a little bit nervous because today is my first video. We're going to be doing a little beginner sequence that's not too crazy, pretty easy, but at the same time I want you to keep a couple things in mind. First off, don't do anything you feel like you shouldn't be doing. Modify or skip any poses that don't agree with your body. And secondly, direct the breath and really focus on the breath. And when I say direct the breath, I mean send the breath to whatever body part, tendon, muscle, or joint that you feel the stretch or the exercise in the most. That'll just help us take our awareness inward and turn that awareness inward so that we become a little bit more self-aware and we can enjoy the sensations of these poses a little bit more. So let's get started. Let's start on our back. And your legs can be spread just a foot or so apart. Hands, palms up, off to the side. And we'll just take a moment here to start to center our body and our breath. Deepening and slowing the inhales and the exhales. Maybe breathing a little deeper and slower than we have so far today. And we'll do a quick scan of the body here, starting at the base of the feet, working our way up to see if we can identify any muscles or joints or tendons that feel a little stiff or a little sore, tight this morning, today. Anything that feels a little cold, that could use a little extra circulation. We'll already start to direct the breath to those body parts. And let's get started with some yoga here. So we'll draw our right knee in towards our chest, clasping the hands on the outside of the shin. And then let the knee drop off to the right side here as you pull your knee in towards your armpit, but avoiding compressing the rib cage on the right side. We're just working into the hip crease, the top part of the thigh, into the outer hip here. We'll be taking about 5 slow and even inhales and exhales here in this pose. Remembering to send the breath to whatever body part you feel the stretch the most. Just about one more inhale and exhale here. And we'll release the grip on the leg, bending both knees so the feet come flat to the floor. We'll cross the right shin over the left thigh. Take your right hand and reach it through the space that you've created with your leg, that little triangle, and clasp your hands on the back of the left thigh. Lean back here, resting the head on the mat, and make all the little adjustments that you need to make this comfortable, and hopefully to bring the back a little bit closer to the mat. So I'm going to engage my lower back to bring my tailbone a little bit closer to the mat. I'm going to tuck my chin just an inch or two. And I'm going to open my chest and shoulders towards the sky to flatten the scapula onto the back. The scapula are the wings of the shoulder blades. I'm trying to hug those into the center line of the back. You'll probably feel this one the most on your outer right hip, maybe your inner right thigh. So that's where I'm going to direct my breathing. Good, and release the grip on the back of the leg. Let's spread our right hand at chest level, palm up, and the left hand will grasp that foot that's crossed over the right foot. We're going to come into an easy spinal twist here. So I'm going to guide my foot to the mat on the left side as I look over my right thumb or right shoulder here. You want to keep the right shoulder blade glued to the mat. This just takes a little different approach, a little different angle on stretching that right outer hip area. Two more breaths here. As you can see, this is why I wore socks today. I knew my feet were going to be touching the snow. Usually I don't wear socks when I do yoga. And then back to center. I'm going to keep the legs crossed. In fact, I'm going to cross those legs a little bit tighter, pressing the thighs together. And you can either keep your right foot just tucked in close to the left shin, or you can go for what we call an eagle wrap by wrapping your foot around the shin. If that works for you. We're going to come into another spinal twist. So let's spread both arms chest level, palm up, and then we'll let the knees fall to the left as we look over to the right. We're going to have to take a little bit more effort to keep that right shoulder blade glued to the mat. And this works into our lower back or middle back a little bit more. You may also feel this a little bit into your outer right hip or the IT band, which is that little strip tendon that runs all the way from the hip to the knee. I've even heard some people say they feel it the most in the chest, the bicep of the right arm. Whatever the case, direct your breath there. And now keeping your legs crossed, we're going to roll over to the left side here. Now I'm going to scoot myself back onto the mat a little bit. And I'm going to work my way to my forearms facing the back of the mat. Now if this is a little too intense here, you can send the elbows wide and sink the chin and the chest towards the mat. Just find a nice comfortable spot that still stretches that left hip, maybe into the left side body. When I come up onto my forearms, I notice the stretch the most in the intercostals, the space between my rib cage, or in between my ribs, as well as the side body between the ribs and the hip. Really pushing through the left hand here, left forearm, trying to square the shoulders. One more breath here. And then we'll release back to our back. Rewind, unwrap the legs, and we'll press the base of the feet together as we let the knees fall wide. We'll rest the hands on the upper inner thighs here. Just letting some blood flow return to those legs which we just had bound up. Good. Let's repeat that little sequence on the other side here. Bringing the knees together, extending the right leg long, and then clasping the hands on the outside of the left shin. Remember to drop the knee to 45 degrees, and then pull the knee into the armpit, working that left hip crease, hip, upper thigh area. Just about 3 more breaths here. And releasing the feet back flat to the floor. Both knees will bend as we cross the left shin over the right thigh for figure 4 stretch. Thread the needle with the left hand and reach for the outside the back of the right thigh, making all of our little adjustments, engaging the lower back to bring the tailbone to the mat, tucking the chin slightly, flattening out the scapula, the wings of the shoulders, by opening the chest skyward. Feeling this stretch in the outer hip, inner thigh of the left leg. About 2 more breaths. And we'll release the grip. Spreading the left arm long this time. We'll grasp the foot with the right hand and guide that foot to the mat or to the floor on the right hand side as we look left. Left shoulder blade stays glued to the mat. Remember to keep feeding the body oxygen on every inhale. And every exhale, releasing something that no longer serves you. A little stress, a little tension. Maybe the events of the day or any obligations that we have later on. And then we'll come back to center, finding the eagle wrap, either pressing the thighs together and keeping the foot tucked in, or going for the additional wrap around the shin. Spreading both arms wide this time, we'll let gravity pull the knees to the right as we look to the left, making the effort to keep the left shoulder blade flat, flush to the mat. And after your 5th breath or so, we'll keep the legs crossed, rolling to the right side. Once again, I'm going to scoot just so I don't roll into the snow. If you're inside or on solid ground, you don't really have to do that. You can roll off the mat. We're going to try to square ourselves to the back of the mat, pushing through that right forearm. Once again, you have the variation or the option to send the elbows wide as you sink the chest and the chin closer to the mat. Maybe slowly over time, you can work your way back up to the forearms. And just about 3 more deep inhales and exhales here as the lungs fill up the rib cage, especially the right side of the rib cage. Really makes space between the ribs and stretches that space between the hip and the rib cage. We'll say 1 more inhale and exhale. And then we'll release, rewind back to the back. Unravel the legs, pressing the base of the feet together, letting the knees fall wide, and resting the hands on the upper inner thighs. Just squeeze those legs out, squeeze the muscles. Now we're letting that fresh blood flow back into the legs. Good. Let's bring our knees back together. And we're going to clasp the hands on the outside of the knees, or if you want, you can even go opposite elbow to opposite palm here. And hug yourself into a little ball, bringing the chin or the nose as close to the knees as you can get. Squeeze it out, giving yourself a big hug here. And then releasing flat to your back for a momentary shavasana or corpse pose. Shavasana is where we reap the benefits of our practice. We've opened some channels for energy flow. Now all we have to do is accept that energy from space below or earth below and from space above. Like we're recharging our batteries. And then I'm going to start to wiggle my fingers and toes, just bringing a little bit of movement back to the body. I'm going to rotate my hands above my head and give myself a whole body early morning style stretch through the sides, crunching up the face, pointing and flexing the feet. Oh, and release with a sigh if it feels good. I'm going to leave one of my hands above my head as I rest my other hand on my heart. I'm going to bend my knees, make my way into fetal position on whatever side you choose, turning towards the extended arm. You can use that extended arm as a pillow briefly. And then we'll slowly push up to a comfortable cross-legged seat. Thanks for joining me today in this first of hopefully many videos, free yoga videos.